welcome to Let's Talk Tottenham. That's all the positive stuff out the way, down to the negative. Where do we go from here? 3 losses out of 3 in a row. Absolutely terrible performances. And a very easy match of Man City next away from home. My good God. Very difficult stream this is going to be. It ain't going to be very pleasant and very positive. But the only positive of the stream is 4 great guests. Adam is back. How you doing, Adam? Adam's frozen. He's...
No. He's just speechless.
And for the umpteenth time. How you doing, Brad?
How you doing? Good. Thanks, Chris.
Yeah, and a warm welcome out, Justin. I've spoken to you a few times on Tommy's stream. Thanks so much for coming on. How are you doing?
Thank you yeah, not too bad. Probably better than I was at about 4 o'clock yesterday afternoon. So I've had time to digest and almost prepare for Saturday. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, well, there's a reason why I don't do the stream straight after the game, and one of the reasons is you've got to wait 10 minutes to start swearing. Les was on last week, been on umpteen times as well. How you doing, Rez? Thanks for coming on and talk about Shelfside Spurs, your channel.
Yeah, that's Johnny Einstein's channel, and that's where I live mostly, and haul myself out to various other channels on a pretty regular basis. So yeah, we're on Thursdays, 7 to 7:30. We start. We've had Mickey Hazard on recently. We've got some other special guests, hopefully coming along soon as well. Please do come along and have a watch.
Excellent. Yeah, the link is in the description, as well as everyone's Twitter handles. Adam, how you doing? Welcome back.
I'm good. Good to be back.
I see you've changed your name there on your little handle there.
Exactly how I'm feeling at the moment. I suppose everyone is.
So bit of housekeeping. Just thanks everybody for watching. All the comments that will come in, keep them coming in. Please hit the like, please hit the subscribe, hit that notification bell, and you get notified when we go live. It all helps. And Spurs have lost. My oven's packed up, so I'm going to end up spending a fortune on that. So please give me some likes and a subscribe. It would cheer me up no end. I'm going to start off today with a joke. I won't read it out straight off. I'll let you see it first. Here it is. And the people listening, any chance of top 4? Now, anyone who knows me on these streams or watch these streams knows that I'm eternally optimistic, and we're still in the top 4 race. Mathematically, we're not out of it, but even I now, we keep playing like that, no hope. We'll be lucky to finish 6th. So even I've been kicked down now, and Man City next. I mean, if we play like that, that is a rugby score. But Adam, any chance of top 4 for you?
Yeah, absolutely. But not the way we're playing at the moment. Yeah. We've got to play a little bit better than we are, especially defensively, if we're going to even think about challenging for that top 4 spot and stop ourselves dropping down into sort of mid-table territory. Which we are at the moment. But what annoys me is that a few weeks ago we were really in pole position really for that top 4 position with games in hand. And it's back to square one, I guess. And Arsenal have caught us up, and we've got to play a lot better if we're going to challenge for that top 4 position, without a doubt.
Yeah. Absolutely. And Scott M in the chat. How you doing, Scott? Big up Chris in the panel. Hope everyone is doing well, aside from any anger, disappointment from yesterday. Chris losing his optimism. I've seen it all now. And Audio Artisan, how you doing, buddy? Thanks for watching. Thanks for the comments. But Brad, I've got a friend, he's a United fan. He was telling me yesterday, he sent me a message when it was 2-0. He goes, score first and your draw. And I was like, the first 2 words of that sentence is your issue right there. Score first. Score 1. That was what it was. I thought Southampton was bad. But, I mean, yesterday, the only positive I can think of is we had more shots. So at least we kind of had a go in the second half. But it was just huff and no puff, really. It wasn't anything like the Alamo. Where do we go from here? We've got Man City next. And If Wolves really wanted it yesterday, that could have been a rugby score, because the amount of times they carved us open with a little ball over the top, we'll come on to the defending, where every single defender has pretty much made a mistake in the game. Only 2 punishments. So where do we go from here?
Well, it's about, as you say, only positive, about as positive as getting an electric shock, probably. But no, I was angry after Southampton. Really, really, really angry, livid. But after yesterday, I was sort of just despondent and depressed and down, and sort of expected it really, and embarrassed that on the Irish Hotspur fan show on Monday night, I was full of optimism. Yeah, we've turned the corner. We're going to do it. We're going to do it. Yeah, after the display against Brighton, which was good. But I just don't like the way that as soon as something goes wrong in any of our games, we just fall apart. We can't respond to anything, or don't seem to be able to. Southampton, we got the goal, 1-1. And then you go 2-1 up and you think, yeah, that's it, great. But then, of course, they equalised straight away, and then the heads dropped. Happened yesterday. We started reasonably well for the first 2 or 3 minutes. And then, well, where I'm sitting from in the ground, the ball goes up to Lloris, and I'm just thinking, he's going to catch that. But he didn't. He just punched it, and after 6 minutes, they're 1-0 up.
I'm not even sure you can call that a punch, to be honest.
Well, no, exactly, and again the heads dropped, and they just don't seem to be able to react to anything. It seems that, and then it's a hard place to play. We were talking about this last night. Actually, it's a hard place to come, Tottenham Hotspur, with the crowd. The crowd are very demanding, and yeah, we should be, but they don't seem to be able to say, right, I'll show you. And they seem to make more and more mistakes. As soon as the crowd get onto them, they make more and more mistakes. And I don't boo. I don't boo the team. I've never booed the team or any player, because I just don't think it's right. But I don't blame anyone that does. They've got a right to do that. But yesterday, they just didn't seem to be able to react. And the thing about the game, I was saying to the guy next to me, Wolves are a good defensive team. I think they're the second best defensive record.
Yeah, conceded 17 in Premier League this season.
Yeah. So I said to this guy, I said, look, if this match ends 0-0, you can say, "Oh, fair enough. They're a good defensive team. We tried to break them down and couldn't 0-0." But they, it's like, they don't score. They scored 2, And I think Rez, you were saying yesterday that's on most of their goals away from home this season, or a good percentage of them. It's like they never scored 2 away from home.
It's 10. Yeah. Yesterday they scored 10% of all the goals they've scored this season.
Yeah,
home and away.
Yeah, so it's like, and you're up against it, and now yes, mathematically we make top 4. Yes, we win at Old Trafford, beat Arsenal at home, beat West Ham at home. Yeah, that obviously would help. But I don't think we seem to be able to bring it for these big games. I really don't. No. Brighton, well, maybe that's just a trick of the light, but.
Well, Brighton didn't turn up. They did a Tottenham yesterday, didn't they? They didn't turn up. So as soon as
the thing about the Brighton game is that they did have a shot, didn't they? I think, which I think Lloris saved in the first few minutes. And you do wonder what would have happened if that had gone in, how we would have reacted. But when we went up, then we seem to be everything's going right. And then as soon as someone makes a mistake and it goes wrong, the whole team seems to just fall in a hole. And it's just I'm not inspired by any confidence that we can win the games that really matter. We can go on a winning streak of 3 or 4 games, and suddenly we're in that position again, and we've got to play, Burnley at home to go top 4, and we'll probably blow it.
We got Burnley away, and you never get an easy game against Burnley.
Exactly. Man City away, Burnley away, Leeds away, Middlesbrough away in the cup. With me, it takes a lot to get my confidence up again. So I feel shattered. Southampton, Wolves, and say for God knows how many years running, single on Valentine's Day. So it's like a perfect storm really for me. So So this morning I was really, really, really down in the dumps. But you have to sort of take it really and say, okay, to quote what the website will come up with, we go again. But what else can you do? And maybe it's best that we go and. The Man City game, thinking, this is going to be a walkover. Maybe they might surprise us. But even if they surprise us,
it might be a blessing that we're not expected to get anything from that. Well, I think we're probably expected to get 2 wins in 2 home games. But Justin,
just sort of finally close off. Even if we got a point at Man City, then you're thinking, well, why couldn't we win the other two games? You know, or one of those games. It's just it's frustrating. And my final point: Man United have drawn against the bottom team, had a home draw against one of the mid-table teams, and they've actually gained 2 points on us. You know, it's like
but that mid-table team beat us.
Justin, Brad makes an interesting point there that we don't seem to be able to fight or battle. I mean, would you put that down to Conte not getting the team riled up, to weak mentality players, or not bothered, or I mean, would you put it down to? Because he's right. If we go 1-0 down, it's all like, oh my God. If we go 1-0 up, we seem to get confidence for it. But I mean, would you put the whole not looking like we can scrap and win ugly down to?
Well, to me, I mean, I've been looking at it. I sort of, it doesn't feel so much like Groundhog Day. It feels like Groundhog Year, because if you look at last year, you know, and if I take you back to December when we played Liverpool at Anfield and we were top of the table and we were playing well and we lost in the last sort of minute. And you sort of looked at it, and Mourinho was coming out and sort of saying that he had taken this team almost as far as he could, and that in January, you know, money needed to be spent, you know, so he could then take it on and push on with what he was doing. And the club chose not to do that. And then sure enough, February rolls on, everything starts to sink properly. Mourinho's sacked. And then we've seen everything that happens. And it's almost as if the club has just decided to not even learn any lessons from everything that has happened before. Because Conte, throughout the whole of the window, was saying, I need more. I need more. And what they decided to do was to give him less. You know, they didn't even do what they did with Mourinho, which is give him nothing. They gave him less. They got rid of 4 to get 2. You know, I mean, anybody who's looking at that is thinking, I'm surprised Conte didn't walk at that point, because one of the things I've noticed as well is because of that, you can just see in his interviews and the things he's saying, he looks fed up. Yeah. And that is now coming on to the players. It's almost as if and the way that he's talking, and one of the things I found very interesting, particularly with his interview after the game, was the fact of, I'm not used to going for top 4. I'm used to going for bigger things. So it's almost as if he can't grasp the concept of what the club is asking for him to do. And it's almost as if his view is, I don't care. My interest is, it's almost as if he's looked at it and gone, well, you're not interested in this season because you didn't back me properly. So I'm not going to be bothered. And that just now seems to be resonating with the players, because you're right in what you're saying. We seem to go a goal down, and it's almost as if, we'll move on to the next one. We won't bother really. And I've just found I must admit, I was more disappointed with the Southampton game than I was with the Wolves game, because the Wolves game I just thought was laughable. I thought was laughable. I really did. You know, when you're looking at the 3 stooges at the back, who, you know, I honestly, I just looked at it. When he put that 3 out, I sat there and I thought, what has Joe Roden done? How bad is Joe Roden in training? Is he turning up? Is he turning up with a can of lager and a fag in his hand 22 hours late and what have you? Because honestly, I don't get what he is doing. And when I then listen to Conte talk about the fact of that he needs to look at things different. Really? It's taking you 180 minutes worth of football to realise. And even the substitutions didn't make any sense, because he could see we were getting battered in defence, so he took off the wing back. You know, surely that would have been the point to go, right, these 3 aren't working. Bring on Roden, try and get some sort of leadership there. But at the moment, there's no leaders on that pitch. None at all. You know, I don't think that Lloris is the right person for captain. I think it should be, for me, it should be Dyer or Skip, because it clearly shows when those 2 aren't on the pitch, this is what happens. And ultimately, if until they come back, I mean, as I said, if they're not back for the City game, then, I think if we keep it less than double figures, that'll be a decent result, if I'm honest.
Yeah, a couple of comments coming in. Audio Artisan being dominated at home against Southampton, Wolves disgraceful. Ramos was one of Europe's top managers when we had him, thinking the cycle is repeating. And he goes on to say our next manager will be a mid-profile English guy who will get it right with us. LOL. And then one more comment, which this has to have some fanfare. It's devastating. A couple of results, depressing couple of results, but how big a boost is it to see this guy back? Bob Spur.
Hey.
How you doing, Bob? Big love, guys. He says, right back at you, Bob. Fantastic to see you doing so well. I've seen you pop up on chats on a couple of other streams, but yeah, great to see you doing well. And hope to have you back on here and on YouTube in person very, very shortly. But great to see you on here and great to see you putting comments on. And he goes on to say, we just need to accept our players are plop. We all know where the blame lies. It's shocking how some fans are still in denial. Simple question, where's the money? I think that's been asked for about, the last 20 years. But yeah, there's... I don't really have another question, but...
I don't know what you guys are complaining about. I had a great afternoon yesterday. I went to Met's.
You had a great afternoon from 4 o'clock. Yeah. I
went to Met's Burger Van on the corner of the what's it called, South and East Stand. Had a lovely half pounder. It was great. And then I don't know, from around between 2 and 4 o'clock, it was a bit hazy. I can't remember what happened. And then I went for a curry with the guys, and hung out with some mates. It was great. What happened with you guys? Yeah.
Seriously. We went on blind faith.
Yeah. To be honest, I mean, look, what Bob said there is the root of the problem. Mm-hmm. Our players, well, I would agree with him, but sort of slightly caveated. Our players aren't awful. They're not, right? These are still players that are essentially still elite footballers, okay? And it's not as if it's the exact same squad. Yes, we do have a number that were there that sort of failed for Pochettino, but we've had enough new faces come in who are still doing the same thing, who seem to crumble, seem to go soft when they step onto the pitch.
Who are these? Which ones?
All of them.
I was going to say, to be fair, it's a struggle really to figure out which ones. I think that I would say probably only 3 or 4, half of them weren't even playing yesterday, which is probably Skip and Dyer.
Do you think we're missing Skip in the middle of the field?
Wait, can I just develop this point? One sec. The only players that I think do not suffer any kind of drop in performance are Kane and Lloris, not in terms of expected almost every game. All the others are susceptible to it.
Well, Lloris has to take a big shoulder of the blame for yesterday.
One game.
But he has done it before in previous seasons. He has been superb in the last year or two and got a lot of praise quite rightly.
Yeah. But still, isolated incidents. It's not something that you expect to happen. When he does do badly, it's noteworthy. We talk about it. What the? Lloris did that? Are you joking? Usually, he's reliable. It's the same way at the beginning of the season with Kane, and the fact that he's only scored 5 league goals and it's February. That's noteworthy because usually he bangs them in. There is something greater at play here that is affecting any player that comes into this club. We've seen Bentancur come in and have 2 good appearances, right? Or 3 good appearances, right? Believe me, give him 10 games, give him 20 games, the same thing will happen to him. All right? Because we are run by accountants. And that culture has spread like a virus into our club. And it doesn't matter that Conte's there. It doesn't matter if we manage to get Vlahovic or we manage to get Diaz, right? The same thing will happen to them while Mr. Squidman, as I refer to him now, is in charge of anything related to football at that club, right? We need proper football people at the top of the tree at Spurs. Until we get that, this is going to keep happening. Conte will leave. We'll get some mid-level manager. They will fail. Okay? We will still be making poor purchases. We will still be making panic buys at the end of January. I turned around at the end of the window and I said that our transfer window was a 2. Okay? Then we had the Brighton result and everyone was happy clapping. Yay! 7 on the transfer window. Goody, goody. Yeah? It's still a 2. All right? We're still shit. And the reason that we're shit is because we're led by shit. When that shit disappears, the club might stop being shit.
Okay? Do you know what? What I will say is that very much echoes what I was sort of saying about the copy and paste of year on year, because there's no lessons being learned.
Correct.
You know, it is very much it's fed from the top down. And when we look at, because let's be honest here, I'd love to know how many fans were desperate to leave White Hart Lane. I'd love to know, because I don't think many were. That wasn't done for footballing reasons. You know, it was sold that it was, but it wasn't. That was done for business purposes, because they can then bring in, you know, the social fans. They can bring in the concerts. They can bring in the NFL. You know, I think it was after the Southampton game, they were talking about bidding for the Super Bowl, which you almost sat there and thought, read the room. That's not what people are give to. I couldn't care less. That does not interest me in the slightest. But that is where the club is going. And Rez is absolutely spot on. It is run by an accountant who makes excellent business decisions. Let's not make any mistakes about that. But we have seen year on year bad recruitment, but after bad recruitment after bad recruitment. And when we're now looking at some of our best, probably one of our best, or 2 of our best players, let's say, they've come through the academy in Kane and Skip. Mm-hmm. You know, it's almost as if, and I think, to be fair, the window summed up perfectly in that it took us 27 days to try and get Traore, and yet it took a club that are bankrupt to get him within a day. Right? That, when you actually listen to that out loud, you're like, well, that's not possible. But they did it, right? We then tried to haggle. Bear it in mind, if we wanted Luis Diaz as quick as it comes out that the Spurs really tried, along with every other player they've tried to get that they're never going to sign, but it looks on paper like it is. You cannot sit there and negotiate the price. Whatever price Porto have put out, do the deal, do the medical, get it done. Right?
Justin, it's worse than that. It's worse than that, right? Do you know what actually happened? It wasn't the price with Porto that presented the problem. It was Diaz's agent. Because what he did is that he realized that it was Spurs coming in, right? And it was him that actually basically leveraged Liverpool into buying him in January rather than waiting for the summer, because he was able to dangle Spurs at the end of a sort of hook for Liverpool. But he knew, right, that Liverpool would then bite, because he knew that he could drag it out with Spurs, because we waste so much time giving him enough time to then go and get Liverpool all sorted, and then bang, they can close the deal.
And it absolutely, and it defines how pathetic even now our recruitment is, because I don't know. I mean, I'm not a transfer guru or anything like that, but I do watch Sky Sports, and I did know that they tried to sign Luis Diaz in the summer, and the talk was they were going to sign him this summer. So all Tottenham did was they spent a lot of money or a lot of time wasted bringing the price down so that Liverpool could buy him.
Yeah.
And one of the things that I found absolutely hilarious is Paratici is meant to be seen as this transfer guru. And in the end, he resorted to going back to his ex and begging for things they didn't want. You know, now we've seen.
Sorry to interrupt you again, Justin. And just to build on what you're saying, it's actually even worse, because we ended up giving them money, Juventus money, to fund the player that we were pursuing.
Yeah,
in Blahovic.
Yeah, absolutely. It is. And this is where, when we can sit there and we can dissect the Wolves game, which I know that we will do, but you almost look at it and think, it is not just about the players. I mean, so many of those players have stolen a living for far too long, and it has taken, you think it took finally a window to get 4 of them out. And what's funny about that is 3 of them are actually playing well now. And you're sitting there and thinking, how is our club at this point where it is almost just, I was on the All Things Tottenham show yesterday, and I said, to me, it doesn't feel like a football club anymore. It feels like a tourist attraction. It's somewhere you can take your family, you have a nice game, you maybe get a bit of food, you can watch a band and things like that, when that's not what you go to football for. You go there because you want your team to win.
I did the stadium I did the stadium tour. I've done White Hart Lane and this one. And White Hart Lane was a football stadium. This is an entertainment stadium.
Yeah.
That's what we are now. We're an entertainment company. Very similar to the wrestling. WWF used to be a wrestling company. Now they're a sports entertainment company. They're an entertainment company now.
I think that's to do with WWF Wildlife Fund, to be fair.
No,
WWE then, WWE. Yeah. But got quite a few comments come in, so I'll just read them out. Bob Spur again. Hugo will be called out, rightly so. However, if it wasn't for him, we'd have lost by 4 or 5. I do agree with that. I tweeted out, I think about half hour in, he's been our best player, and he's made about 3 cock-ups. Lack of quality, ideas, depth, big evidence. Big in evidence. True Blue, Bryce. How you doing, Bryce? Isolated incidents with Lloris hurt more. He's supposed to be captain, leading by example. Darryl Denton's said it's damage limitations. This is exactly how I feel, Darren, now, unfortunately. It's damage limitations. I've mentally checked out. I think 7th and 8th is where we're going to finish. Hope they have a plan for the summer. It's all the same as usual. He's then said plan. Who am I kidding? Audio artisan. Levy wants customers, not fans. And Brian Daigle. Go straight from Levy to Brian Daigle. How you doing, Brian? Great to hear from you. Good evening, everyone. That was absolutely horrific. And then he echoes everybody here. I can only imagine. Good evening, everyone, especially Superman Bob Spur. But yeah, Adam, let's go on to the mistakes. Lloris, Davies, defence, midfield. I haven't got enough banners. I mean, it was isolated incidents by Lloris. And if he goes on another run of about 10 games where he doesn't make one, fine, okay, he's just had a mare. If it's like it was about 3-4 seasons ago and it becomes commonplace and there's a problem there, but I don't really know what he was thinking. He made 2 errors in the first goal. He should have been out for a corner, not straight down the middle, and that wasn't even a punch. That was I don't know what that was, and then the kick at the end, and then Davies compounding all that. Jimenez had a chance in the second half with Sanchez taking an awful touch. I mean, the list goes on. I mean, it's sad to say that we're missing Dyer now, but that's how bad it's bloody got. We're so Dyer, we're missing Dyer. That's how bad it's got. What do you put the mistakes down to? Lack of concentration, like Rez and Justin were saying, the whole culture of the club, which is transferring onto the pitch. What do you put all of those down to? Or just a bad day at the office and Man City will be different.
It is a lack of concentration most of the time, I think. And I think it's a little bit harsh to label the blame all on Lloris because... I mean, for the second goal, it was Ben Davies who gave the ball away, dreadfully. I mean, I know the kick out to him was pretty bad from Lloris, or the pass out to him from Lloris was bad, but he still had an option to, hoof it out or hoof it up and get it away. But no, he tried to play it and played it straight to a Wolves player.
I think if you look as well, going back to Ben Davies, Dendoncker was the guy who scored, who got it from his poor clearance. He's run straight past Ben Davies. Ben Davies was the nearest to him. Yeah. And if you look at Dendoncker on the replays, he just makes a straight line run and he gets the rebound with Ben Davies just looking. So he was hugely at fault for that.
Well, as soon as the ball was given away, it was like headless chickens all over the place. And Wolves just, they just needed to, they just brought it into the net basically, and that was that. And but with Lloris, I do remember there was a chance quite soon after the second goal where Winks gave it away, passed it straight to one of their midfielders, and Lloris actually made quite a good save to keep us in it. kind of keep us in it, but keep it at 2-0 rather than 3-0. So, yeah, it's just lack of concentration. So Winks was giving it away. Ben Davies was giving it away. Sanchez and who's the other? Romero, all over the place. It's just a comedy of errors, really.
I'd be interested to go back through all the goals that we conceded over a period of time.
That'll take you a long while, Brad. That will.
Yeah, but I'm just every goal we seem to concede is from a stupid error. I mean, look at Southampton's equaliser on Wednesday. I mean, that's about 3 or 4 stupid errors in a row, and we don't seem to concede a goal where the other team have played. Oh well, that was a really good move. Fair play. That they deserved that. That was a great goal. Yeah. It always seems to be a mistake that we've made.
Brad, why do you think that is? Why do you think that is?
I think they're just scared. I mean, they're just paranoid.
To be honest, I don't. I wouldn't so much say that. I think it is a fact of it. It reminds me similar of when we had Toby and Jan, where Toby was a better defender, but Jan was a better leader, and it was almost as if Jan was saying to Toby, "Go here, do this, do that." Those three, honestly, they couldn't organise a piss up in a brewery because they're good defenders. We've seen it in individual moments. We've heard Conte turn around and talk about how Sanchez he likes, how the club are going to go and sign Romero, Davies. Anyway, but the fact of it being is that those two, they have the qualities. But the problem is when you're putting those three out there and asking them to organise that defence that already is shaky, they just can't do it. The amount of times you saw, Romero run out and Sanchez was like, well, what do I do now? And that's the problem.
Do you think we need Dyer back, or do you not think that will make that much difference?
I genuinely think Dyer. For me, I think that if I was Conte looking at this, and it all depends on what Conte really wants to achieve. There's a part of me that genuinely thinks that actually, if I can finish outside of Europe, I can at least then have a proper run at the league next year. That is what seems to be his priority from what I can see. I don't think he really cares about this year because I think January window, if Tottenham had gone big, got 4 players in to cover the 4 he lost, I think you'd have thought, actually, yes, I will go with the club's ambition and I will go and push on to get you into the top 4. But he doesn't care about the top 4. He wants to win. So he clearly doesn't think this is good enough. But I do think that Dyer, for me, if they want to try and shore up the defence at all, it has to be Rodon, Dyer, and Romero as your back three, because at least then you've got some sort of leadership at the back. At the moment, I don't think Dyer is the greatest of defenders, but he's a voice. He can actually, tell people what to do. And what we have seen, and I think there was a stat that was put out on Match Today, which was about Dyer, Skip, and Højbjerg. When those 3 are missing, Tottenham are absolutely clueless. So, I think they've lost.
But
I don't think they've won a single game.
Played, I would just caveat that slightly by saying that the 5 that we played with those were like Watford, Norwich.
Yeah, they were winning.
The weaker team.
But without them at the moment, we wouldn't be beating them. So
I think we've got to remember we are clutching at straws here. Let's not sit here and say that Dyer slots back in and we're going to go win the Premier League. We're talking about at the moment we might just get into the Mickey Mouse European Cup. Let's be honest, that's kind of where we're getting at with this, and that is a real sad state of where the club has put us into. That we're having to hold up Dyer as the Messiah. I never thought Dyer and Messiah would go together.
It's more than the individual. It's more than the individual players. I mean, I can't remember who it was that mentioned. I think it was you actually, Justin, that said we got rid of 4 or 4 people, and 3 of them have started doing okay. All right, it's only 1, maybe 2 matches, and different leagues. I agree. Look, for me, these players they don't care. We've seen that loads of people have said they don't care, they don't give a shit when they're on the pitch, and that I think that's absolutely bang on the money. And there's a reason why they don't care. right? My biggest frustration now is not that we lost to Wolves or we lost to Southampton. I mean, I was on Tommy Talks Ball last week, and we were talking about we've got 6 points coming. We got 0. 0. We didn't even get 1. Right?
We were saying that last week on here as well, Vez,
exactly.
we?
6 points
Ian.
coming. 6 points coming in top 4. Listen, guys, seriously, all right? I agree with you, Justin, about Conte. I think treating this as a sort of extended preseason, and I've said that before. Okay, I think you're absolutely right. However, my big concern is this: that he has come in, and even if he's treating this as an extended preseason, and that does explain his substitution of Sessegnon, in that I think that he went with the formation there to test, to see what a different personnel lineup could do, and got his lesson very early that the answer is not very much. And so rather than change personnel, do a straight swap for personnel, he changed the system. The thing that really, it was when that happened, and 5 minutes after that substitution and the change to 4 at the back, and I sat there and it was like, this is no better. But what is even more damning for me was it's actually no worse either. There seemed to be this just flatness to anything we do. Anything we do. We have the odd blip here and there, like Brighton, who don't turn up and we take advantage. As Brad said, you know, we sometimes go ahead and everything's sort of ticking over, and then something happens and we go flat again. It speaks to me of a group of employees. They are employees, right? Ultimately, who are not happy with the organization that they work for. I've been in that situation. I'm sure we've all been in that situation where we've got people high above us, not the ones that directly manage us, but people above them that sour the entire atmosphere of an organization, bring morale down. It's a morale question, not so much a mentality question. This is a group of people that I've described the squad as a couple of times as an undead creature that drags its carcass across the pitch every week. What killed it? What turned it into a zombie? Right? These are people that play every football. The majority of footballers, when they play football, they play because they love it. They get into it because they love it. It's something they're good at. Right? How many players have we heard talk about the passion they have for the game? This lot don't have that passion. It's been sucked out of them. And my terror, and the thing that I think is going to come about, is that we'll get Dyer back and things will be slightly better. But then eventually, again, it will just be sucked out again. It'll be sucked dry. It'll be desiccated. It's a desiccated squad. It's a desiccated club. And we can hope and dream as much as we, and I know I'm turning into the fucking angel of doom on this one. we can hope and dream as much as we like, but until that problem's solved, this is just going to be Groundhog, minute, hour, day, month, year, decade, over and over again.
Yeah,
and
we also
a few comments. Sorry, Brad. I'm just going to get a few comments. Quite a few. Bryce, I wonder if he'll strategically finish outside of European spots. I think he's talking about Levy there rather than Conte. Davil, we struggled in Conference League. Why should we expect to be higher? And I showed this earlier, but Gugamar, how are you doing? Thanks so much for watching.
Hey, Gugamar.
Danny Kiriakou is enjoying his dinner.
Danny Kiriakou.
Danny Kiriakou.
And he's got a little jingle to dinner with. Scott M clutching at straws. Exactly right, Justin. And Dyer being back won't help anything. He loves ball watching and losing men as much as anything.
Doesn't matter whether he's good or shit.
Yeah, and Hearts of Liverpool. What's the real biggest problem with Spurs? 4 letters begin with L, ends with Y. Yes, sorry, Brad.
Technically, I was going to say, because I thought of a different word beginning with 4 letters, not that one, but and not the other one, because I know what Rez is now.
This is a family show,
Justin. Yes. No, I was going to go with one that begins with E and ends in C, not the one that starts with C and ends in T, because technically that's the translation of the other two.
We've got a comment here. I'm not going to show it up. Daniel Levy is the real problem. Tight, and then that word that I thought you were going to say won't spend the money. But yeah, sorry, Brad.
Well, the one thing that really concerns me about this team is I've during the Pochettino years, I think we've lost so many semi-finals and a couple of finals, and we we still have players from that era in our team. Now, I'm not having a go at players like Kane because we all know how good Kane is. We've got Kane, Son, Davies, Dyer, Lloris. They're all serial losers. They keep losing, and that can't be good. That really worries me. That no matter how good these players are, in the back of your mind, it's like, because I feel it as a supporter. Oh, we're going to lose again. Oh, it's going to happen again. It really worries me that these players, no matter how good they are, will have that as this sort of monkey on their back, and it's stopping them from doing stuff that we should be doing, to win these games. That's the one thing that really really worries me, that we have serial losers in our team that haven't won anything. I mean, even Kane with England lost the final. So that must get to players. That really must get to players.
How come Trippier went to Atletico and won things?
Yeah.
Well,
To be fair, I think there's a stat out, and apologies for interrupting, Brad, but the amount of players that have left Tottenham and are winning things, that is it. And you mentioned Trippier, and there was a thing I was watching when, at the time that Kane was taking a free kick, Trippier was scoring a free kick for Newcastle. And I sat there and I never thought I'd ever see this day in my life where I saw Kane over a free kick and thought, oh, I wish I had Trippier. And sure enough, he goes and smacks one in. Okay, he's injured, but he smacks one in. And you almost look at that. And, as I said, the problem is that once these players leave this club, they know that the clubs they're going to, there is at least a modicum of wanting to succeed. Leon didn't bring Ndombele back just because they like to have his name. They wanted him because they want to win things. They want to get back into the Champions League. Lo Celso going to Villarreal is for them to go and get back up into the Champions League spots. These players are going there wanting to succeed and wanting to do well. 90% of the players that come here are coming here for one reason, and that's a payday. And they get it because they know full well they can turn up for a couple of seasons, be bang average, and we'll then flog them off, and they'll go back and they'll play proper football elsewhere. At the moment, we are the equivalent of we're the British version of the Harlem Globetrotters, except the fact we're shit.
Yeah,
that's basically it.
Because we make
a couple of comments
we make decisions based on finance rather than football. We buy players because they make financial sense, not because they make footballing sense.
Yeah, going to some of the points that have come up about players leaving Spurs and winning trophies. Well, yeah, when you talk about single players, Hugo Lloris goes and wins a World Cup in France. So that's a bloody good French team. Trippier went to a really good Atletico Madrid team. What's his name? Kulka
Cameron Carter-Vickers.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking of. Sorry. Yeah, he went to Celtic. Who it's either Celtic or Rangers are going to win up there. So it's not. I mean, the only thing that's a bit. I actually might put some money on Everton winning the FA Cup this season because Dele Alli's gone. But I think if you go to but I do get your point, and I do get the other people's points in the comments. But yeah, if I went and supported Man City, I'd probably win trophies. It's sort of thing. That's the way it goes. But it still does concern me that there's this little thing that Spurs won't win, and I get it as a supporter, and it's annoying.
Right. Audio Artisan has pretty much Audio Artisans pretty much echo that. Hugo captain France are the biggest honours. Problem is at Spurs, but like you do say, they have
I get that. I do get that, but.
Mohamed, Dyer, Sanchez, championship players, and Lloris is a bad keeper for 4 years. 4 years ago, he was a bad goalkeeper because he had not bad goalkeeper, he made a lot of errors, but for the last 2 years, he's been absolutely superb ever since this pandemic. Hearts of Liverpool has taken on my mantle of being optimistic. Top four is still there for you guys. United, Arsenal, West Ham are all bang average and will drop points. I think the point you're missing there is we need to gain points when they drop points, and that isn't happening.
Problem is, Hearts of Liverpool, we're below bang average at the moment.
Yeah. So. And then he's also gone to say, Jamie, when I watch Spurs play, you have a good attack, but your midfield is really poor. The attack feed on scraps, and that kind of brings us on to the midfield. Go with Vez. Where's my thing? I've got a few things here. The new boys' debut, kind of Kulusevski kind of played in midfield, but Bentancur definitely did. Winks can't pass. He was. I didn't mind the fact that he was trying to pass forward, but he's trying to pass through a brick wall. And you've got to sometimes say, okay, well the gap isn't there. But
do you know what's funny?
Yeah,
Winks can pass. He can pass, and he can pass forward, and he can pass. He's actually got a good range of passes on him, right? It's just when he puts on a Spurs shirt, he forgets it. He loses it. I'm serious. It's not. I mean, it sounds funny. I know. It's up here. Dyer and Sanchez are not championship level players. They are Premier League players. Okay, they have played well. They have shown they have ability. Okay, they are inconsistent and they make mistakes because they're not happy. All right, and Ndombele was not happy. I don't forgive him for what he did, but he wasn't happy. He's at Lyon now. He's happy, right? They're enjoying their football. The reason they think they don't enjoy their football here, okay, because they work for a fucking entertainment company. They don't work for a football club, right? And they know that. They might not be able to conceptualize it, but that's the thing. We can dissect these games until we're blue in the face. Football is a team game. You can have a player that isn't playing very well. You can have a player that's out of form, right? This sky-fed diet of focusing on the individual and dissecting it right down to the last few stats and saying that is the root cause of everything, in the same way that we're doing with, when Dyer, Skip and Højbjerg are in the side, we do this. When they're not, we do that. It's like day of the week, time of the season, opponent you're playing, home or away. All of these have an effect. We can't turn around and collation is not correlation. But the things that we can correlate are the fact that we are so inconsistent. We show no gumption. We show no steel. All of those things run through our club and have been doing it for the last 4 years. Where does that come from? It's a different squad, different managers, different stadiums. What is causing that? The only common denominator, the only thing that is a constant in all that is the atmosphere of the club and the person who decides that. I don't care who plays, right? I thought Bentancur played well. I did. He had some good moments, okay? And I'm hoping that he's going to be a good player for us. But I don't think he will be, right? Winks will eventually leave. This is the last chance saloon for him. He's gone, okay? I don't think he'll last the summer. Kulusevski has some development to do. All of these things are true. But come on, guys, we've got to stop fixating on the issues of individual games and start focusing on where the real problem at Spurs lies, because we'll just be here forever doing the same thing every time we lose.
Do you not think, though, that professional footballers should be playing for their manager, for their supporters, that sort of thing,
absolutely.
and not even caring about the club and how it's run?
Footballers don't care about that anymore now because they're millionaires by the time they're 20. They don't have to care. They don't have to care. You look at Dele Alli.
Yeah,
Dele Alli, if he gets fired, or he's probably still got £20 million in the bank. If I got fired, it goes on my CV. I look for another job. I've got that blot on there. I've got trouble. I can't pay my mortgage or this or that. The footballers don't have to care. So there's very few now who play, like they said, for the love of football. A lot of them now. Asu Akoto was kind of the pioneer. He famously said, didn't he? I don't like football. I'm good at it, and I get paid a lot of money. It's more and more becoming about that now, I think.
Yeah. And to be fair,
all of us have an element of job satisfaction, no matter whether we have a lot of it or very little of it. And that's still true of footballers. I'm not making excuses for them, guys. I'm not saying we should forgive them necessarily. I'm just saying it's the reality of it, right?
Yeah.
It's been sucked from them.
Yeah. To be fair, what I would say is I kind of understand where Brad's coming from. The players go out there and they should want to do or want to play. And let's not forget, we had that for a period. We had it at a period under Pochettino. The problem then became what the club created as a culture, where they came up with the record that I never thought I'd ever see a club come up with. But Daniel Levy smashed out the park, which is the only team in Premier League history not to sign anybody in the summer transfer window. Those players will have then looked at that, seen as well they didn't do anything in the winter window, and then just thought, where am I going this? What is the definition of the club? And at that point, there was no progression. And even Pochettino said it, that interview that even to this day haunts me to my very soul, which is the one about the painful rebuild that hasn't come, that hasn't started, or to be fair, if it has started, it started badly with the 4 out, 2 in. But the problem is that the players at that point, when Poch was there and building something, they probably thought the club are going to follow what Poch is doing. And they then just looked at it and thought, all they've done is use what Poch gave them to build a stadium. That's all that happened in that time. And at that point, they thought, right, okay, we're in this stadium. Now it's going to be a backing. And the backing was borderlining non-existent / crap in terms of the 3 players we brought in that ultimately weren't good enough.
That is spot on.
The players being unhappy. Yeah. What the hell have they got to be unhappy about? They play for a fantastic club. They've got a fantastic fan base. Play at a fantastic stadium. They've got the best manager in the world. They get paid a lot. What have they got to be unhappy about?
Great training facilities. Yeah.
Best training facilities in the country.
That's
what
reductive.
have they got to be happy about? They got to play.
I'll tell you what. Listen, it's not as simple as that. Do you know, like, if you ask someone, no, it isn't. No, it really isn't, and there's proof of that. Wait, hold on.
They just need to play.
Hold on.
To their ability. And
you got to understand the psychology. You got to understand the psychology of it. If you say to someone, "What will make you happy in your job?" most people will turn around and say, "Oh, if I get paid more." And they've done studies to show that, in actual fact, money has a minimal effect on job satisfaction.
It's not just money.
Right? I'm not saying it's just the money. I'm just saying that we look at these things and think it's simple, but it's not. All right. They're in an environment in which Daniel Levy is always there. Right. I read an article in The Athletic that questioned why was analysing why Christian Eriksen decided to leave. And one of the things that came up in that was the fact that Spurs, what they've got a habit of doing to protect themselves against players being poached, is that they'll give small incremental raises to players and contract extensions on a very, very regular basis. And that led to Eriksen feeling trapped at Spurs. He felt that he was never going to be able to develop and go and try something or become a better player because he was constantly being dragged back and tied to the railings at Spurs. Is what we saw with Harry Kane potentially over the summer. These things, they might have great training facilities. They might have great fans who love them. They might be paid a huge amount of money. But if you have a bit of that once, it's special. When you have it every day, it wears off and you start looking at the things that make you dissatisfied, right? It's easy for us because we don't have it to say, they're getting 200 and something £1,000 a week. What are they complaining about? And you're right. What are they complaining about? Unfortunately, in their mind, they're not thinking that. They're not thinking, I'm getting 250,000 a week. What am I complaining about? It's like, yeah, that's another 250 in the bank. Chuck it over the shoulder, forget about it. What am I unhappy about?
That's the way football's gone.
Yeah, but the reality of it,
What I will say, because I do, sorry to interrupt, Rez. What I will say with regards to what Adam's talking about there, because I kind of understand that. I think the problem is, particularly when you talk about Tottenham, and I'll give an example of Kyle Walker. Kyle Walker just wanted to win trophies. He wasn't ultimately unhappy at Tottenham. He wanted to be successful. He wanted the club to match what he was looking to do. And the club weren't prepared to do that. So in the end, they sold him for 50 million quid to City. Now he's got titles, he's got trophies, he's got winners' medals and everything like that. When you look at where Tottenham are and you look at, let's say, Harry Kane himself, and I'm happy to say this, is better than where Tottenham are in terms of footballing wise, and yet will potentially go down as one of the greatest players never to win a trophy. And I think this is where the problem comes in. I don't think it's so much the fact of they're not happy at the club and they're not happy with the money that they're getting. I think the fact of it is that they've reached a point, and that's what they did under Pochettino. They reached a point where they just thought, and the Champions League final was the pinnacle. That was it. I think if they'd have won it, it would have been different. But I think they've looked at that and they've got, that is the closest we're ever going to get to winning major silverware. Because the club will not take it to that level. You look at how much money other clubs spend, and you look at our spending in comparison. I think you know, one of the people on the All Things Tottenham show that I did yesterday talked about it, in the fact that Tottenham has spent over the last 2 windows 30 million quid, and that's on the balance of ingoings and outgoings. That does not make you a top 4 team. That doesn't make you competitive really on any level. If you think our spending isn't too dissimilar, I think there's been years when teams have been relegated who have spent more money than us. And that, I think, is where the biggest problem comes in, that these players look at it and they think, if I really want to win something, I have to leave. If I'm happy just to take a paycheck and then eventually get booted out the door, then I can just do that. And I think that is where the biggest problem is. And they saw it with Kane, the talisman, the big, you know, the driving heart of Tottenham, who turned around last year and said, I want to go because I don't believe I can win anything. And even when I look at where the club is now, I kind of have to agree with him. I wasn't happy about the way he did it, but I did understand it. And that, to be fair, is where I think I understand what you're saying, Adam, but I think that's the problem at the moment. I don't think it's so much about money. I think it's the fact that the club just couldn't care less about winning trophies.
More interested in corporate deals, more interested in the Get Here sponsorship, more interested in the badge sponsor, the naming rights, and all of that.
It's been one of the business.
What you say, Adam, is not wrong. You're not wrong. They don't have that much to complain about. Unfortunately, it's human nature. It's human nature to worry about the things we don't have rather than the things we do have. And footballers are no different.
And I mean, to be fair,
we're not going to compete with Man City and Chelsea.
No, of course not.
Teams like that, because look at the money they've got. Yeah. You can't compete with that.
But Adam, one thing I will just I just wanted to add to that. You look at Chelsea now. The difference there is Tottenham spent £1 billion on a stadium and won nothing. Chelsea spent probably about £1 billion on players and won everything. That shows you where the difference is. You saying about the not being able to compete with Chelsea, that's because from a club's perspective, from the owner's perspective, that doesn't make business sense. That's their view. You know, and the January summed it up perfectly. We were in a position where West Ham signed no one. Man United, loaned out Martial, and obviously they got the issue with Greenwood. Arsenal got rid of Aubameyang and didn't replace him. Conte turned around and said, if you want to get what you truly want, which they've always said is top 4, go and spend the money. Yeah. And what they did was they didn't. In effect, they saved themselves money. And that is when Conte looked at this and thought, you clearly don't care about this season. Why should I? And that's what, to be fair, what Mourinho did last year. He did exactly the same thing.
Yeah. Do you think that's why? Because we were calling out for 3 in midfield. I know Vez said we shouldn't be talking about the game, but
that's ridiculous. It's a football show.
With respect, Vez, I'm ignoring you.
Chris, we were calling out. I'm not saying we shouldn't talk about these things. We should. They are things to talk about.
I'm just trying to cheer myself up.
No. I was just putting it in the extreme terms.
But do you think we should have played 3 in midfield? Because Leicester, we played 3. Liverpool, we played 3. All right, we conceded a few goals there, but we looked like we were going to score goals. Yesterday, we huffed and puffed, certainly that second half. Didn't look like we were going to score goals at all. And you know, Kane and Son off form. Kane, fairly ineffective. So I'll come to you, Justin. I mean, Kane was trying. I don't think there's any doubt Kane was trying, and I may get flack for this. I thought Morva was as well. He was trying to get the ball and run. Son, his one-on-one after Bentancur put him through was very unlike him. It didn't look like he was going to score that at all. I know Wolves are a bit of a bogey team, but still you expect more from Son there. But yeah, I mean, were you surprised by lack of 3 in midfield? And is that because, like you say, he's given up? And just one comment I forgot to mention: the Champions League final was a sliding doors moment. Audio Artisan says
a sliding doors. There have been a couple of others as well.
But do you think 3 in midfield should be the way to go? Maybe not against City, but do you think Conte's just if I finish as low as possible, it says you've got to spend money, whether he will.
Yeah, I think to be fair, yeah, because we can go on about that. We'll probably be here, for a very long time discussing it. But I think when you look at in terms of what he's got, what I would like to see is, sort of skip Højbjerg and Bentancur in that middle, trying to, because it seems like that if you've got those type of players in there, they can kind of not only boss the midfield, but they can also protect the back line. We know that our defence isn't as good as we'd like it to be. I think they would, because one of the things Conte sort of likes to play is having a wing-back system, where they can bomb forward and obviously can put the crosses in. So I think if he's got those three in the middle, I think it gives more freedom for Reguilon and whoever.
We'll come on to the right back in a minute. I
don't think we'll play three in the middle, and I think the very good reason for that is that if you actually look at it, we've only got really 4. Is it? If you count Harvey White, 5 central midfielders. So I think he's squad managing to get through to the rest of the season.
He could be, but I think to be fair, what I would say is that once Skip is fit, I think he has to see it. I think he has to see that 3 because, one of the things that is going to come up in the summer is whether we look a long-term replacement for Højbjerg because, I think obviously he has played a lot of games and he's been trusted by a lot of managers, but, he has made a lot of mistakes recently and it's whether he is the next level for what Tottenham need. I mean, one of the things that I sort of noticed with a lot of the players is that those are the type of players that the likes of Wolves would try and sign. I could imagine them going after someone like Davies and Sanchez, them going after someone like Harry Winks, that those type of players ending up there. So to me, I think I wouldn't be surprised if he sees the 3 just to see, because I think one of the things Conte is going to have to do is very, very clever and work out where he can save money. He did it with the goalkeeper. He saved himself probably about 40 million quid getting a top quality goalkeeper to replace Lloris. I think he's going to look at that middle 3 and see, is that my middle 3 going forward? Or could I play 2 with 1 coming off the bench, so that then I can save myself money? Because as you said, we're going to come on to the wing-back situation. I know there's talk that Reguilon could be off, that Madrid might, do that buyback clause. So it could be that we're looking for a left and right wing-back. And to be fair, if we can get that middle 3 or middle 2 to work, it could save us some money to then spend on maybe like Lamptey or, Max Aarons or somebody like that who can come in and give that burst of pace, that burst of energy, on the right side, and then depending on what he's able to look at on the left-hand side, whether he sticks with Sessegnon or hopefully goes to someone else.
Yeah, let's talk about the wing-backs. A couple of comments first from Darryl. Top clubs fans demand trophies. Why they get the best of the best. We are not under pressure to do so, while twiddly-dee, twiddly-dum are here. We hit the ceiling under these 2 unless a manager overachieves. Mm-hmm. But Adam, right wing back, I think that's a real problem. Emerson's been awful. I said he should have been dropped just to give him a rest and take him out of the firing line. Doherty, there was one header which Lloris saved from a shot. I can't remember who had the shot. Absolutely terrible. I think we've got a real problem there. And teams are going to target us, and God knows what Man City are going to find there with the Sterlings, the Fodens, the Marvezes, the Grealishes, the De Bruynes, the Bernardo Silvas.
Well, switching off right now.
Yeah, and with Man City as well, they'll be angry about losing that first game, so they'll be fired up for that. And if we don't match that, which I don't think we will, we are going to be banging trouble.
They're going to rip that right side back area.
The left wing back, the left wing back isn't so much of a problem, I don't think, while Reguilon is here. Sessegnon, I felt a little bit sorry for. I don't think he did anything worse than anybody else. But yeah, right wing back. I mean, is it time for like Bergwijn, do you think, or someone else? Try something different. Different because Emerson and Doherty.
It defines Spurs. This does. It defines Spurs. Square pegs and round holes. Yeah,
really.
We've got Collini. He's not going to play any games. Why don't we give him a go out there?
What do you think, Adam, with our wing back going forward?
Do you remember when we made a massive hoo-ha about Poch playing Sonny at left wing back against Chelsea?
Yeah.
Right. It looks like it's going to have to be something like that, because who do you rely on? Every club is going to target our right side. You know, Middlesbrough are going to do that. You watch, and the likes of Man City are going to rip that side of that flank to absolute shreds.
I mean, it wouldn't surprise me if Bergwijn does play if he, Emerson and or Doherty there, and Bergwijn further up, because he did a job similar to like that under Jose, tracking back. But Adam, the right side. What do you do to combat Man City here if you can?
Well, I don't think Man City really do come down the flanks too much, do they? They tend to like to play
against us, I guarantee
it. But to be honest, the first game of the season when we played Man City, I was thinking, it's going to be a cricket score here, especially when the teams came out, and we put in quite a good performance. We sort of nullified their attack, and obviously we got a goal of us. Sonny got a goal, and we won the match. But we just need to play with a bit more oomph. Like that first Man City.
How do we get that oomph? For me, Skip. If Skip plays, we're a bit more likely to get it, just because he's got a bit of energy and desire. The lack of desire, certainly in that midfield, is very alarming. And if you do that against City, you are going to be killed. I'm going to the pub to watch that, and I think that's the only place I can watch it. I'm going to need some alcohol.
Yeah. I mean, the first game of the season, we closed them down. We stopped them playing. We stopped them passing. We stopped them their attacks, and that's what we need to do. Just need to work really hard, close them down, stop them playing, stop them attacking, stop them passing, and hopefully we get a bit of luck.
I mean, how would you do that? Do you think Tanganga will play again, and then in the hope that Sterling or Grealish, if they play, will go, oh God, not him again?
I think Tanganga is probably not going to be fit for Man City. Right. And people who've seen me on these shows know that, it's Brad and the blue sofa. Well, I think I'm going to be watching the Man City from behind the blue sofa. So I think on Saturday, actually, if Dyer is fit, you can have Romero playing on the right side of the back three. So that might provide a bit more cover for whoever is right wing back. I personally would like to see Emerson as right wing back rather than Doherty, purely defensively, because he can actually run and might be able to get a tackle in. And might be able to do a little bit better than Doherty, who I don't think has got a defensive.
He's been practicing on his running, because he's going to be doing a lot of running back.
Well, yeah, I mean, but I think we can all agree that Emerson is a far better defender than Doherty. We can argue about the attacking wise, but I think defensively he's a lot better than. I don't think Doherty could defend to save his life. On the left-hand side, again, you've got to go with Davies at the left to provide the backup for Reguilon, whoever might be playing there, which I think has worked in the past. So obviously, we're playing a far better team this time, and we just have to go with that. I think going forward, we're stuck with the two wing backs. Yeah, you could use Tanganga, but I think we got fooled a bit by his performance at right back. It was good against Man City, but I think we got fooled into thinking that he's a right back. I don't think he is. I think the centre back is his position, and he's another one that until he got injured wasn't confident. He'd lost a lot of his confidence. On the left hand side, again, you got Sessegnon, but then Sessegnon again, I think is a player that's an attacking wing back. I don't think defensively he's got much from what I can see. Whereas I think Reguilon's probably got a bit more defensively. But then you have to have your three centre backs, and then have your midfield stopping the ball. If you put those three in the midfield, I'd like to see Kane and Son just play up top and have three in the midfield. And whether that means Mora doesn't play, I don't care. Then hopefully you can protect and stop the ball getting to the wingers or to that side, and keep it down the centre where you've got your three midfielders and your three centre backs. Keep them there. Don't let them get out wide. So. Yeah, but it's definitely an issue, and I think we're stuck with a problem at right wing back. This is why, going back to the transfer window, and I'm going back to before the Brighton game when the window had finished, and I think I gave it a 6 out of 10. based on the fact that we got rid of 4 or 3 players anyway that was causing a problem in the dressing room, and we were more. It seems ridiculous now, I know, but at the time we were a more compact squad. I thought, well, that's going to be good. But the reason I dropped it down from, I think I worked out this system where I think I gave them a 7. I dropped it down to 6 or probably 5 because we did all this business, but the players that we were looking for, we didn't get. We're supposed to be in the market for a right wing back, didn't get one. Supposed to be in the market for a backup striker or another striker, didn't get one. Left-sided, left-hand side is what we're probably waiting for. But a player or creative midfielder, didn't get one. Now, you could argue maybe Kulusevski is going to be the player that might be, he showed a little bit of creativity on Sunday. Not a lot, but he tried. As we all said about Winks, they can pass the ball. They're trying to pass it through, 2 ranks of 4, 8 players. So it's going to be difficult. But yeah, I think this. Yeah, we're stuck with it at the moment. What do people reckon about? I've always been impressed by in the friendlies anyway. And I can't remember his name. Patkowski.
Yeah, he's a centre back, isn't he? I know you mean. He's sometimes been on the bench, Patkowski or something like that.
Yeah, I thought he was more of a right back, right-sided player. I mean, I could be wrong.
I think he's the one who plays for Estonia. So
that's right. Yeah, I was going to say he's an international. I couldn't think what country.
Yeah, for my record, I mean, somebody will probably be able to say otherwise, but I was sure he was a centre back. But I'm not so sure that we could be looking at Emerson. I think the problem was, if I understand what you're saying about Emerson being defensively minded, but the problem was we saw in the Southampton game, James Ward-Prowse just had an absolute field day and tore him to bits. And, and City have got much better players than that. I think it's just going to be a struggle. You almost have to sort of sit there and I think go 3-5-2 and sort of try and just, almost have, whether it be, Skip, if he's back, or Højbjerg, sort of almost sitting in front of that defence, and almost, if needed, when they're coming at us, trying to go to a 4 at the back and then push back up to make it a 5, if hell freezes over and we actually are able to press forward.
Yeah, what about getting the wing backs further forward? So it means that their attacking players have got to come back.
Yeah, I mean, but the only problem with Emerson on that is, when the Watford game summed up his that was it, yeah. But with Emerson, the Watford game summed up his crossing. Yeah. When, if you watched, as soon as Emerson got the ball out wide, Watford just went, "Go on then."
Yeah,
we know we're going to stop this, and I think this is the problem. I mean, one of the things I said is that maybe if they are trying things, and and I understand what you're saying about him being more defensively minded, maybe if they are going to try and keep Royal into some sort of form, maybe as future goes on, try and convert him to like a centre back, a right-sided centre back, because if he's got the pace and he hasn't got the abilities to put the ball forward, maybe they could do that. But again, it's still going on to square pegs and round holes. At the moment, that's the one thing I genuinely feel sorry for Conte for, because the other positions you can kind of justify who you would put. But in that right wing back situation, when I never thought I'd see myself saying it, but I was desperately scrambling to have Doherty back, he comes on, he then plays as a wing back and then as a right back, and he's rubbish in both positions. You just sat there and you're like, I don't really know who I'd put there. So I do get where you're going with the Estonian player. Yeah. To actually maybe see and give him a go, because I don't think we've got anything to lose, to be honest.
Well, the thing about saying Watford sitting back and saying, "Come on, Cross," I don't mind if Man City do that for 90 minutes on Saturday.
I don't think I was going to say that would be amazing.
There's a difference, right? What Man City do is they will go, yeah, okay, come at us. Then when the inevitable sort of mess up happens, they'll go, right, let's show you how it's actually done. Yeah. It's a difference. Watford didn't have the ability to teach us the lesson. That's the thing.
That's why you got to have the 3 in the midfield now, because you got to pack that midfield and just try and strike.
Yeah, that's why. Yeah, absolutely. I think 3-5-2.
And dare I say it, they struggled to break Arsenal down when Arsenal were down to 10 men. I know, we could argue about who's got the better defence, but they did struggle. So, You know, if you put your mind to it and play the best of your ability, then who knows?
The
But
issue we've got is that we don't press.
No.
We don't press, and we don't, and they basically, you saw it. Wolves were doing it to us all match.
Yeah,
they just pass it around us because we just were like, oh, missed the ball, missed the ball, because we don't hunt in packs.
I think if you play three in the midfield,
I
think if you play three in the midfield, you've got more likely
to
press because you've got someone there who can sit. But I mean, City is just going to be.
They're just going to pass it around us because their passing game is so good.
Yeah, a few comments here. Pat's that guy. He's a centre back, but he played right back and left back during pre-season. That's audio artisan. Davies said after the last 3 games, would it be that bad to give Rodon and a chance? It wouldn't.
I agree absolutely.
Yeah, he's also said
City's in midfield as well.
City's defence up front. Yeah, he's also said City's defence give you chances, just don't think we outscore them. And they're in full flow now. Absolutely agree. That's why I wasn't that bothered about playing them first game because they hadn't got into their rhythm. And Audio Artisan said we have to stink out the Etihad, 10 men behind the ball and hope for the best. So, I mean, do you think he'll set up in a similar way that he did to Chelsea away when we lost 2-0? Certainly. That first half, I didn't think we played that bad in the sense that the plan I thought worked, and it should have been 1-0 to us at half time. That was a goal for Kane. But it was obviously to sit back, make the game boring, and then that's your job as an away fan. Certainly when you're the weaker team, shut the crowd up. You shut them up by making it boring, don't give them chances. Well, that's what you do. You shut the empty seats up. You shut the empty seats up, and then I thought we did that quite well against Chelsea.
There, you know.
And I thought we did that quite well against Chelsea, and then Tanganga should have been taken off because of the booking, and then like Brad said earlier, the first goal goes in, done, game over. But
if there's any manager in football that can plan that sort of a game, it's Conte. The problem is he's got. There's a bunch of idiots that can't carry it out.
The issue is, as well as we played against Chelsea, I thought in that first half, City are a completely different animal. And I mean, you have to be like 100% on and hope Chelsea have a bad day. To beat them. At City, you have to have an unbelievable giant killing day and hope Man City have a Tottenham day. That's what you need. Correct. And I just don't see they're going for that league. The league ain't done and dusted yet. If it was mathematically impossible for anyone to catch them, they could have let their standards slip.
But they're
going to be angry about that first game. So how do you see? I mean, I'll do the preview on Friday, but he's got to change something, hasn't he, Conte? Because he can't go on like the Southampton and Watford because we'll be on the end of a cricket score.
Look, we can play 3 in the middle. We can play 2 in the middle. I honestly don't see us having the ability to stop Man City playing their passing game.
No.
There's what they. I mean, listen. It's the cornerstone of every single Guardiola team, and there really is. When you've got technical players of the ability that Man City have, it's virtually impossible to stop. You basically have to, shut them up, press them. Make them lose heart. Unfortunately, we're not a club that makes other clubs lose heart. Where right now we're a club that makes other clubs laugh. It would be the phenomenon of the season for us to go to the Etihad and win. Right? It will probably be the most notable result of the season, on par with anyone else going to the Etihad and winning. We don't say I wouldn't give Liverpool a chance. I might give Liverpool a chance, but I wouldn't give any other club a chance at the Etihad with the mood and the form that Man City are in right now. I wouldn't give anyone a chance, let alone ourselves.
No, I'm expecting it. I'm usually positive, Justin, but I'm expecting a Tim Sherwood result here. But yeah, I mean, at the very least, I say this on all my previews, and it never ends up coming up. And then I always moan about it on the Monday. the first 50-50, knock one of them into the air, show them they're in for a game, and carry on doing that. Be a bit nasty. I mean, it's sad to say. It'd be nice to have Lamella back because he'd certainly go in for a challenge.
Yeah.
Do you know?
I don't think we have that kind of nastiness now. I'm sure there's a few people who are nasty in training and give nicks to their buddies, but like in terms of the game, it's just too soft. And you've got to try, like they said, get City off their passing game. You don't do that by dangling feet around and letting them run past. You go into it like Tanganga did to Sterling and Grealish.
I was going to say actually that to be fair was what I was going to say. You know,
because
it
Sterling
is in
and
there.
Grealish didn't want any part of him after that.
No,
and their left side was fairly anonymous after 10 minutes, and
see,
that's what you do.
Yeah, this is one of the things that is frustrating with Tottenham. When you look at some of the players that we've had who can do the dirty part of the game, the part of the game where you really wind somebody up. You know, I mean, I didn't mind Lamella. Okay, you know, it always used to be a Rabona red card, injured for 12 months, and then he'd do the same. But you know, the fact of it being is,
sorry, before you carry on, you do know that he's only ever received one red card.
No, that is true.
Career.
That is true. Yeah,
and that's when he scored a Rabona as well. Yeah,
he's a classic. Carry on.
You know, but. The thing is you look at the players that we've had in the past who do the dirty things, you know, like the Scott Parker when he was there, Moussa Dembele, you know, people, there was, you know, there were people who turned around and said, what did Dembele actually bring? All he brought was that sort of, you go and do your bit, I'll do the dirty part of the game. Yeah. And we don't have that. We don't have people. It's almost as we saw, you know, and Højbjerg is an equivalent of that, and I think that would set the tone if he went in a proper crunching tackle, just to say that actually you're not going to have it your own way. But you know, the worry is that by the time that happens, we could be 2 or 3-0 down, and game's over by that point. You know, so that is the bit that you do think is really missing, is that grit through the team to actually go out there and say, do you know what? We might lose this game, but you're going to know we've been in a battle. And I think that's kind of why...
Just to cut you off, sorry, Adam, I know you need to go.
I have to go now.
Thanks so much for coming on. And, hope this was a bit of good. Hope this was a bit of good therapy for you after the shocking game, and you're going to need quite a bit more, I think, next Monday.
I was trying to work out. Do I see a cat in the background? I couldn't work out if it was real, but yeah, it's definitely a cat. Yeah.
Cheers, Adam, and speak to you soon.
Can't see it. This is how you treat cats. You know. Anyway, on that note, I'll see you guys later.
Yeah, Adam, take care.
Do you know what? With the state of fucking refereeing in this country, okay, the first time we try that and just, you know, it'll be a red card and we're done.
It wouldn't surprise me. Yeah. But almost, you know, when we talked about that match today, when they talked about Dyer, you know, Skip and Højbjerg, when those three don't play, it's because, okay, the opposition weren't as high as what we've had in the past or other teams, but those are the only three I would say. If you wanted somebody to come in and ruffle some feathers, be aggressive, tell other players to come on, let's go for it. That's the three. The
other
rest
than Cutie, we've still got Cutie, but he's the only one now. It's just
you still. The problem with him is he reminds me of Aurier in the sense of he's a card away from being sent off.
Yeah, a little bit.
You know, it's you almost think, is he going to be sent off in this game? Because he just goes in. And you need someone around him to say, no, that's...
Well, I mean, he could be in trouble against City because, like they said, they pass it round you. And if he's out of position going storming in and they knock the triangles round him, then we're left with, you know. But yes, a bad Skip, I think, is key. I mean, we're not going to do anything. We're not going to get top 4 here. But he is the one midfielder, I think, who has that kind of Lamella-ness about him, if that's a word, that kind of nastiness and getting into someone. He hasn't done a Rabona yet, but he hasn't done a Rabona yet, but you know, he's only. But if he plays, and I think we could have that first 50-50, someone goes in, but without him, we just look so toothless. And Winks isn't going to go hard in on someone. Højbjerg, needs a rest, Højbjerg. At least he kind of had one against Wolves, I guess. But he would have been running up and down, warming up. But I mean, we'll do a preview in detail on Friday. But for you, how do we approach this City game? Being that it will be the first time we've lost 4 league games in a row in 18 years.
I think we have to try and bring that Battle of Stamford Bridge mentality in there, and just hope that it comes off. Because I think going back to what you said about Skip, I think Skip, he really is one of the futures of Tottenham. Really, I mean, this is a guy. I'm old enough to have seen Steve Perriman's sort of debut and how he progressed. Skip reminds me of him. I mean, can't remember exactly how good a passer Perriman was, but Skip,
not bad.
Yeah, Skip seems to improve. I've seen him improve as the season's gone on. In the early games, he was getting booking early, wasn't he? He was getting stuck in, as you say, but doing it really early, getting a card and then having to watch it. Now
he had a really bad first 15 minutes against City, and then he grew into the game. And so what you get with that, and what I like about that, is he had a bad 50 minutes against what will be the best team in the league. He didn't hide. He still went going, and then he got himself back into the game. How many players can you say now? Maybe Kane tries to, Moura tries to, but how many players can you say when they're having a bad thing drag themselves into the game?
This is where I've seen the improvement in him. He seems to have matured. It's for a guy who's 21 years of age. He's like he's been playing Premiership for years, and he seems to know where to be at the right time. He's actually got some pace on him. I think it was might have been the Leicester game where he showed a lot of pace. He can make a pass. He can pass a ball as well. So if you can think of him and Bentancur in that midfield, sort of knowing where it's going to be and that sort of thing, and then Højbjerg being like the battering ram, if you like, then maybe that's the way they should go on Saturday. But no, Skip is. I think we miss him when he's not there. And this is the thing. Our scene is so bad that we rely on a 23-year-old who played his first season, a player that we all wanted sold in at the start of the season, Dyer, and a 21-year-old playing his first ever football season. We're relying on these 3 players.
And speculating about an academy product at right wing back.
Yeah. You know, that's how bad we've got to. Is that
I mean,
these players should be the luxury. These players should be the icing on the cake, not the.
And this is why I don't think, when you said we need to do a Battle of the Bridge thing, I agreed with you. That would be wonderful.
I don't think we have that in our makeup anymore.
No, we don't anymore.
No. I mean, the thing the Battle of the Bridge, who did we have? If I remember rightly, we had the likes of Rose,
Walker, Rose, Dembele, we still had Dyer,
Hungan. I don't know if Toby was.
Alderweireld. Yeah, Toby was there. I think Toby was there.
Yeah. These were tough players. Right, they got stuck in, all of them. Right, Rose was aggressive. Walker was aggressive. Both our centre backs were aggressive. Dembele was just. He was a monster. It was like, come at me, and I'll show you what football is. Right, and there was aggression there. Now look at them. I mean, even Højbjerg.
Well, there's maybe 1 or 2, but that's it, and that's a little bit of a stretch. But I mean, that was
Sanchez. Do you see him doing that? Not really.
But Dan was put a good point here. Confidence will be shot. Going to be an interesting match to watch. So, I mean, Man City. When you're a top team, last thoughts here before we wrap up. But Justin, when you're a top team, you're a shark. When you smell blood, you attack and you don't let up. And God knows how much blood they're smelling. It's an ocean full here. And they will, I'm convinced, start that game like a bull in a china shop, like a train. And if we miss that first 50-50, give them a few chances in the first 5-10 minutes, unless they're strikers and the Sterlings, the De Bruynes, the Mahrezes and what have you, are having a bad day. Oh dear, it's gonna.
I mean,
the only benefit is we scored a really early goal against Man United from a kickoff, so we will be able to practice our kickoffs for that kind of moment again. That's the only benefit I can think of that could happen in this City game. But last thoughts on how we kind of end the season, how we kind of get a season back on track.
To be fair, I don't I don't think there is any, from what I can see, I think what the club want and what Conte want are two different things. I think the club think they're still in a strong position to be able to get top four, and that's always been the ambition. If you listen back for years, you can go back as far as Martin Jol. It was always about let's get in the top four, never winning anything, never winning the Premier League. It was always about getting in the top four, and to be fair, I think that's still what they'll think. If you look at it, if you're being positive, there's 2 games in hand still. You're not miles off from them.
League table. So this is the league table here. So,
sorry, yeah. So if you look at it there, you're 3 games from West Ham. So technically you still can get 4th, and that is how the club will view it. Conte will
look at the goal difference, though. I mean, that tells a story itself, doesn't it? Like,
we're virtually. You add a point to that. How long how far we are behind? You can't say we're 3 points behind Arsenal.
No, but if you look at Conte, I think Conte would happily finish the season where we are now, because then he's got no European distractions. All he's got to focus on is the league and the cups. That, I think, is his interest. They want top 4 for the money. He wants next year to win the Premier League. That is what he's wanting, and I think he's going to find out in the summer. What he wants and what the club do will be 2 different things.
Yeah, I mean, Brad, last thoughts on how we get our season?
It will be an immovable object.
I think the top 4. The reason I see I mean, not that I think we're going to get it, but top 4 to me, you should be able to attract better players because they want to play in the Champions League. And if we're going to go for a title, then that's what you need. You need better players. I think when Martin Jol was in charge, we'd never been anywhere near the top 4. Because I remember being excited that we were getting into Europe, that we finished 6th and got into Europe. And we're all singing we were going on the European tour. We never, at that time, I remember my friend is a QPR fan saying, why do you want to get top 4? You'll never get top 4. And yet we did. And then from that, you think, okay, we're top 4. And we were top 4 for then Pochettino got involved. We're top 4. Then we actually challenged for the title a couple of times. All right, never came anywhere near winning it, but we were there in the mix. So I think you have to start slowly and work your way up. I do like what Conte says. I do like him. Conte seems to talk like a fan. We want to win. We want to win things. We want to win titles. And at the end of the day, I want to win a title. I don't. Top 4 to me is only a means to an end. It means that higher income. Because that means that the extra 5 million, 10 million pound you pay on someone like Bruno Fernandes, what it was at that time, you get that back from just even making the Champions League, group stages. So I think the top 4 is just a means to an end, or an end to a means, whatever the word is, to actually attract those players. But ultimately, we have to go and try and win the title, which I think is what Conte wants, is what Pochettino wanted. We never used to really play any, strong teams in the cup under Pochettino, because he said, well, look, winning the FA Cup's nice, but it's not going to define Tottenham Hotspur as a football club. You want to win championships and Champions Leagues. And to be fair, we got to 2 seasons that we were in the title race, and we got to Champions League final. So it worked, but it all started off slowly. And I think Pochettino's first season, we finished 5th from memory. We lost at home to Stoke, home to Newcastle, and home to another team. I can't remember who it was. Really, really poor losses like we've just had that we should have won. And we finished 5th, I think, on the last day of the season because Liverpool somehow lost at home to Stoke or lost at Stoke. So, that was our first season on the Pochettino, and then we all know what happened after that. So I think with this season, we should try and get top 4. It's looking unlikely. It's going to be basically the best team of a bad bunch is going to do it. But we need to do that just to get the extra bit of income to buy those players and to get the players interested in playing for a Tottenham Hotspur Football Club, because we've got everything else there that would interest players. But they want to be competing at the top level. So that's what I think we should do. But I do agree with what Justin was saying. Let's have no European interest next season and go for it. Because let's face it, he won the title with Chelsea when they finished 9th the season before.
And Leicester won it without European football.
Exactly. So it shows it can be done. So I know exactly what Justin's saying in that degree, and I do agree on that point. But I think top 4, hopefully you can get those players. I mean, let's face it, Leicester was a freak of nature. Leicester winning the title. Chelsea less so, they had decent players. but I think we need to, as a means to an end. But yeah, it's not the be on end all. And to win a cup, it's going to be difficult because there's all the big teams that are still left in it. We normally rely on Chelsea drawing Man City or Man City drawing Liverpool, to get one of them knocked out. That hasn't happened so far. Winning the FA Cup would give us a little bit of confidence. People like Harry Kane and Lloris haven't won, or Kane in particular hasn't won anything, to win something. Say, yeah, we can do it, and hopefully use that as a platform. But that's my.
I mean, you make a good point there that you have to do it slowly, but the frustration is we bloody did.
No, that's right. I know. Before, just my last point, I don't know where I can find the tweet, and you've all probably seen it anyway. Someone's been retweeting the tweet that Tottenham official put out the day after the Champions League final, and it said, "Congratulations to players! What an absolutely brilliant effort to get to the final. Oh, we didn't win it today, but this is just the start."
Yeah.
And Vez, last thoughts on what we do for the rest of the season?
Just for me, wait for the summer. Just wait for the summer. I said it before. I said I've got no great expectations for this season. I'm not sat here saying that if we don't get top four, it's like the end of the world. It's fine. Because for me, really, it's not about what Conte does, not about what the players do. It's about what the club does. And we're not going to be able to see, or we should be able to see, because there's nothing stopping them from identifying players, making approaches to clubs with offers. People mistake the transfer windows thinking that's the only time you can be active. No, it's not. It's the only time you can register a new player. But you can still go to the club, make an offer, have it accepted, then speak to the player, get it all done and ready, like Liverpool did with Virgil van Dijk. They were negotiating with Southampton between the summer and the winter. When the winter window opened, done, signed. That would be great to see. I would change my mind about the ambition that the club has if we saw stuff like that. Players on pre-contracts, players being approached. I don't think we will, so I will wait. And in the summer, if we don't go into it all guns blazing, Tottenham are being ambitious, not waiting 27 days or essentially, 90% of the window before actually getting serious, then I will go into next season with some confidence. But this season doesn't matter to me at all, really. I would love to see us win every game. I would love to see us win the majority of our games because I love to see us win. But I'm not that worried about the thing. I'm still worried about Conte. I'm still worried about the club. Those things haven't changed. And so it's wait and see for me, Chris.
Yeah, I think that's probably the best attitude, isn't it? But I mean, I don't really want to wait and see what happens on Saturday. I'll be honest with you. But,
honestly, come round to mine. I've got an oven. I do. You can cook it.
It's too early, Vez, to joke about the oven. It packed up this evening. It's too early. It's too early.
I'll cook you something. It's fine.
Just got a comment just coming in. If you're a scout, do you think there's enough talent in the Europa to buy players to get top four? Then upgrade if we got top four. Could be a cheaper strategy than competing with top clubs. I mean, that exactly like Vez said there, Darryl. Wait until the summer. You're not going to get your answers in February, March, or whenever. But yeah, I mean, we'll end it there. I mean, we could go on about the transfer strategy and all the problems, and my oven until the until the morning.
My
But
point of 12 is this.
Thanks to all my guests, Adam, of course, who had to leave a little while ago. But Brad, thanks so much for coming on. As always, welcome on any time. Justin, great to have you on for the first time. I've spoken to you a few times on Tommy's show anyway. Great to have you on.
Absolutely. Thank you very much for having me on.
Oh, no problem.
Don't forget to click like and subscribe to this channel.
Yes.
Thank you, Brad. Yeah, you've done my job for me. You can be, you can take over if I'm on holiday. And Vez, thanks so much for coming on. You were on last week, a few weeks before that as well. And Shelfside Spurs. Just give yourself a little plug for your channel.
Shelfside Spurs, Thursday nights between 7 and 7:30 we kick off. The show doesn't run from 7 to 7:30. We start at some point between 7:30 and then go on for lots of time. So yeah, please do come along. We recently hit 200 subscribers today, which was really cool. So we're quite happy about that. Maybe have a little celebration on Thursday. Please do come and watch. It's madcap. It really is. We talk about so many weird and wonderful things, as well as Tottenham. That we're the sort of eccentrics of the streaming community. So Thursdays 7 to 7:30. Come along, watch, comment, like, subscribe, hit the bell, have a party, take all your clothes off. We won't see it, so you can do it. And yeah, it would be great to have you visit us.
You click on the StreamYard thing.
Unless you put the link in the description and then you click on that accidentally and your camera picks it all up. And then, to be honest, I'm sure everyone will be joyful if you did that.
Right. At least be worried if you like that.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, it would be great if people came and visited. We would love to have you. If you want to follow me on Twitter, you can follow me at @bat_Spur.
Yeah, excellent. Yeah, make sure you go visit Shelfside Spurs. All Brad, Justin, and Rez's Twitter handles are in the description. Shelfside Spurs is also there as well. Thanks to all my guests, Brad, Justin, and Rez, and of course Adam as well. I'll be back on Friday. I'm not going to promise it's going to be a positive one. It's a preview. I don't think I can be. And then I think next Monday could be an absolutely awful one. But yeah, we live to fight another day, I guess. And what's the thing that Spurs always say? On to the next one or something like that?
We go again.
We go again.
Yeah, we go again. We go again. And we go again on Friday.
Hopefully it won't be here we go again on Monday.
It may very well be. I'll warn you now. Thanks to all my guests. As I say, thank you to all for watching, everyone getting in the comments. Please hit the like. Please hit the subscribe. All helps the channel. Hit the notification bell. 182 subscribers. Great to catch Rez up and Shelfside Spurs. Come on, you Spurs.
Come on, you Spurs.
In a very half-hearted way today.
Come on.
Thank you so much for watching. For everybody who participated in the live chat and added comments. Before you go, please make sure you hit that like and subscribe button. Anybody who couldn't watch the live video, you can still catch us on YouTube. Add any comments, suggestions or questions to the comments section on the video. Anybody who's listened to the audio-only podcast, thank you so much for listening. Anybody who wants the audio-only podcast, you get this wherever you get your podcast from. Alternatively, if you go to Twitter @Talk Tottenham, you'll find all the information there. We'll be back soon. We're live Mondays, 8 p.m, Fridays, 12:30 UK time. Until then,